Hello, everybody. Welcome to the team selection video, team reveal video for Game Week 1. We're finally here. I think I have a much lesser existential crisis today than I had for the last 2 days that I discussed with the boys on the Game Week 1 pod. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Game Week 1 pod, you really should. It's a banger. We had such a nice, free flowing discussion where we just went back and forth with our dilemmas, our discussions, etc. I thought it was one of the best pods we've done in terms of just not having an agenda and just talking FPL old school style. We've also done a ton of content this season. If you're just starting out, I highly recommend watching the video that Zoff and Pras did, which is the wildcard windows. I highly recommend the conversation I had with Josh from the Anfield Rap. He contextualized Liverpool and slot tech. Nobody else has. We've also done the best midfielders, striker, best defense spot. So yeah, ton of content. See what you feel like doing, and then we'll get into my team. Right then. Before we get into my team, as always, all the stats, all the data that you see on this podcast are from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. They've supported us for the best part of 5 years now. We've been them for the longest time. They have a mobile application now, which is incredibly useful. And if you are becoming a member, you can help us because we're affiliates. And if you click on the link in the description below to become members, it's you guys supporting us as well. So, yeah, do that if you feel like being kind. And that's about it. Let's get into the team selection video. I don't know why the animation comes like this, but I didn't bother with too many screens, etc. I just wanted to talk to you guys. I wanted to talk to you about the feelings. I think feelings is what matters when it comes to FPL. And yeah, this is my draft. I've got a couple of other variations about this. What picks am I completely locked in my head at the moment? I think Haaland and Isak are locked up front. I'm very likely going with Isak as my captaincy option because Isak at home against poor opposition was a flat track bully. He showed that in the data. I analyzed performances of the big hitters. There's a video on there of the different big hitters against different opposition caliber at home and at away. And Isak does really well against easy opponents and especially at home. So I think he's got a better fixture. The only player I would be comfortable captaining over Isak or would be willing to captain over Isak game week 1 would probably be Mo Salah because I expect that game to be a little bit of a high action basketball game. But I don't have Mo Salah in my team at the moment, and I've sort of come to terms with that unless I have an existential crisis. But Isak's nailed, Haaland's nailed. I haven't tinkered without Haaland. I mean, there is a school of thought that people are wondering, that you don't have Haaland in there because City, they unfortunately, by the way, the big news is Oscar Bob is injured. Poor guy. He was looking like he would get his chance on the right wing, and he had an excellent preseason. And a lot of people were planning to punt on him as well, which I was okay not doing because I felt there's just too many guys in Man City. But feel sad for the guy because he would have definitely gotten a shot or two or three to bake through that Man City team, and he looked fabulous. But Haaland, whatever the lack of service, etc., I love the fact that Haaland's had a full preseason and he tends to start the season well, and it's easier to get him out of your team rather than getting him in your team. So I'm happy to start the season with a full off season, full preseason Haaland. Who else is locked in my team? I think Anthony Gordon is locked in my team in midfield because Anthony Gordon had 27 goals and assists last year, and I think his age and trajectory is such that his upside is huge. I think this guy is nailed on. Not nailed on. I think this guy is going to get another 30 goals and assists this year if he stays fit because Newcastle don't have Europe. Because Newcastle have Joelinton fit and they are playing Hall as the wing back on that side. Now, I think the impact of Hall playing as wing back on that side and the impact of Joelinton, who is a press monster, frees Gordon up because these guys will occupy defenders, Hall and Joelinton. It frees Gordon up, and I just think he's an incredible pick. Has amazing fixtures to start the season. I mean, look at Newcastle's fixtures to start the season. I'll quickly go to the fixtures. They've got Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, who are in a little bit of a issue at the moment without Solanke, etc. as well. Then Spurs at home. They won 4-0 against Spurs at home last season, and then against Wolves away and Fulham away, who are not that great defensively. So while I am thinking about whether I should have a Newcastle defender in there, Newcastle attacker is or two are nailed on, and I'm feeling really good about Gordon. I'm a little wary that a lot of people are switching to Gordon now because so the trickle down effect of that Oscar Bob injury news is that City will obviously be in the market. or a winger or an attacker. And Eze is sitting there with a 60 million clause is somebody City are definitely going to look at. Do you want to take that chance with Eze? And if people are not taking that chance with Eze, they're invariably moving to a Gordon. But yeah, man, I like Gordon. Great pick. I think I'm going to start the season with Diogo Jota as well, unless Arne Slot says something that gives me pause. I spoke to Josh Williams from the Anfield Rap and heard FML FPL's video with Neil from the Anfield Rap as well. Both of them have Jota starting the season. He should start at least the first two games. That's good enough for me. If performance base he does better and he continues playing for a longer time, then that's good, man. I think Jota is just a good pick and I'm going to go for it. Now, here's the big one. Last time I was flirting with uh, 8.5 million Bruno plus saving 1.5 million or going with Saka. And Saka has been a weakness of mine for the best part of last season. And it's a strange thing because I love Saka when he broke through and when he played against us for the first time when he was a 5 million midfielder for Arsenal. I thought this guy's going to be a star. And went to FML FPL's podcast and said, I think Arsenal should build their team around Saka. And Bosch was looking, what the hell? But here we are. And I've sort of just struggled with timing Saka. I looked at Arsenal's first four fixtures. Let's look at Arsenal's first four fixtures. This is the vibe that you can expect now. I think I'm gonna go with, right. It's just gonna be me talking from the heart to you guys, genuinely talking to you about what my feelings are, etc. And what my research is and why I'm thinking the way it is, what the layered nuances behind the picks are. And if you like that, I'd be happy to go through this journey with you guys because I think thinking out loud also sort of just helps crystallize thoughts in your own mind. Look at the fixtures for Arsenal. I mentioned this on the pod that I did with the boys. Wolves at home. Wolves are going to be playing four at the back. I spoke to a Wolves fan. He said they're likely to concede three. And Arsenal are a settled team with their entire team fit and playing. Aston Villa away, which I think is a decent fixture for attackers. They lost there last year, but I think it's a decent fixture for attackers. Then they got Brighton at home. Then they've got Spurs away. I genuinely think these are great attacking fixtures for a team that's settled, which is why it just didn't make sense to start the season without an Arsenal attacker, in my opinion, which is why Saka is in there. Now, there are a few things, I always used to earlier perceive that he's not getting that many shots, he's playing too wide, etc. But his trajectory as a shot taker has increased progressively towards the years. Last season, when Arteta was playing Saka too wide, uh, it lasted over 5-6 games. Then he gave him more and more license to come as infield as possible. And in the preseason games, we've seen that there's been quite a few crosses and good play from the left hand side. And Saka's placing himself at the back post. He's not staying wide, he's placing himself at the back post in a goal scoring position. He got even a header or two in that position. And man, he's 22, 23. What if he's got a gear or two in him and he's perfectly capable of what he is if he is the next Salah? And his floor, he's one of the attackers for one of the best teams in the country who's only going to improve as a player and is on penalties and is a minutes monster. So not overthinking this, Bukayo Saka is in. What I'm talking to you guys. And the funny story is I was struggling with it, so I spoke to a couple of Arsenal fans from our Discord, who I really rely on, and they both did 2-page paragraphs and convinced me. Anyway, this is my problem because I need to be convinced about Saka. I know you guys don't. He's a pick for sure. Now the picks that I'm not sure about, but I'm 90% there. Let's be frankly honest. 90% there with the picks. Solanke, I'm 90% there with Solanke as a pick. I spoke to Baker as well. I was like, you need to tell me what your read on Solanke's minutes are. And he's like, the more he sees it, Spurs tend to play like 2-1, 2-2, 3-2 kind of games. He just thinks Solanke is good for 75, 80 plus minutes. And unless Ange says something in the press conference, stamping this is recorded on Thursday, 15th of August at about 4:30 IST. The Ange presser is in an hour. If Ange says anything that might put me off, then I will not have Solanke, and I'm considering Kai or Muniz in that position, or a 4.5 billion striker. More on that later. But if Ange gives me a thumbs up, then I'll go with Solanke to start the season with. The first two fixtures are really good. He's got Leicester away, who are struggling at the moment, and he's got Everton at home. Now, the one slot in attack that I'm not sure about is Nkuku. Nkuku has impressed me every time I'm seen him in preseason. He's had a good run of fixtures. He looks like a good solid pick. But the draft that I'm playing around with minus Nkuku is this. Hold on, let me just. So Nkuku's fixtures, right? He's got City at home, Wolves away, Crystal Palace at home, Bournemouth away, West Ham away. They're like good fixtures, not great fixtures. Like City at home, I still think City minus Rodri or City minus not their first team squad, there might be a goal or two for Chelsea. And Chelsea in general might take a while to get going with so many players under a new manager, like we saw at the start of last season as well. But Wolves away, Crystal Palace at home, Bournemouth away isn't that bad to start with your Chelsea picks. So he's a good, solid 6.5 million pick who's an elite finisher, and you don't need to overthink this. But what's the alternate option that I have? Currently have with the Nkoku draft 0 million in the bank. The alternate option is to start with Minte and Smith Rowe as two 5.5 million mids instead of Nkuku and Wings, which means it gives me a little more squad depth. It means I have Minte, who's got a good fixture, Everton away, game week 1. Let's go to the fixture chart. So I can play Minte, Everton away, game week 1, and then ESR comes in for the next two fixtures where he plays Leicester at home and Ipswich away. And then ESR has grade 4 and 5, and Minte has a good 4 and 5 also. Where's Minte? Yeah, he's got Ipswich and Forest at home. So it gives me optionality. It gives me talking myself into Minte plus ERI, ESR. It gives me optionality. It gives me a little more squad depth. I don't have Nkuku. This is something I'm going to think about, and it's probably going to go down to the wire. What do you guys think? Should I go with the Nkuku plus Wings draft or the Minte plus ESR? ESR Minte draft gives you more squad depth. Nkuku plays for a better team, but is he necessarily playing for a better team? Nkuku is an elite finisher, which Minte and ESR are not. Minte and ESR are sort of like unknown quantities. Squad depth thing, but also the thing with Nkuku is that your funds remain on the pitch. Your funds remain constrained within your first 11. So you're not, let's say I want to get in Mo Salah or Watkins game week 3 or 4. I'm short by 1 million and I'm selling ESR. The problem is it requires an extra transfer because with Nkuku, the money is within the first 11. With ESR, that 1 million extra is going into squad depth. So will that be something that comes back to bite me in the future? Conversely, you will have lesser fires if you have a deeper squad. Let's say Jota is not a pick game week 2 onwards. I don't need to immediately do something about it because Smithrow and Minte have good fixtures game week 4 5 anyway. So that's the debate that I have. I'll go back to my original draft. This is not. Hold on, guys. Yeah, go to the original stuff. Hold on. Yeah, great content, guys. So yeah, squad depth because at the moment my bench is Wings and two 4.2 defenders. So do I really want to? Do I really need to go with something like that? That's something I'm debating. Let me know in the comments whether you think I should go with Nkuku plus 4.5, and I think Garnacho is going to be a pick eventually, or should I go with Minte plus ESR or Kamada plus ESR, like two 5.5 million midfielders. There's also an option of going with ESR just in that position, spending 4.5 million for Wings, and then getting a second 4.5 million defender instead of Johnson, which would be Lewis Hall, because Lewis Hall looks like a really good pick. He looks like he might start the season, etc. as well. So, I don't have squad depth at the moment. Could be a problem. In defense, I've got Trent, Munoz, and Barco, along with Robinson and Johnson. I'll take you guys through the fixtures. So Trent is a perma play for the first 5-6 weeks, in my opinion. He's got Ipswich away, Brentford home, United away, Forest home, Bournemouth home, Wolves away. I think Liverpool might get more clean sheets than they did last season because they are trying to execute more control. And I think Trent playing as a wing back and not doing the rubbish inverting thing suits him more. He's on for double-digit assists, in my opinion. And I just want to go there. I like having the most expensive defender in the game. And I like Trent as a differential. Uh, I already have spoken a lot about Munoz. He's very, very attacking, almost playing like a striker. Yes, the fixtures are a little dodgy. Brentford away, West Ham home, Chelsea away, Leicester home, United home. But I just see him as an attacker. And people have told me that are you comfortable doubling down on the Crystal Palace defense, especially since Gehi might leave, Anderson might leave, and Eze might leave. Because the transfer rumors around all these players at the moment. I just want to chance it for the first 5-6 weeks because Munoz has been my guy. The alternate option that Zoff is considering at the moment is he's thinking of going Poro plus Gabriel plus 4.5 million Hall instead of Trent plus Munoz plus 4 million defender. The thing with Bako and Kadiglu, that deal for Brighton looks like it's going to happen. As from Black Box is convinced that it doesn't threaten Bako's position because Bako's been really good in preseason. I really need Barker to play game week 1, and then I might need him in game week 4 and 5. Outside of that, I'm okay because Trent and Munoz are sort of perma plays, and I've got Ben Johnson on there from Ipswich, who's got a good 3-4-5 anyway, in case I need like a substitute, etc. And Robinson is in there because outside of game week 1, I think he's good for all the game weeks. He's got Leicester home, Ipswich away, West Ham home, Newcastle home. I just think he's really, really attacking. Yeah, he doesn't have that much clean sheet potential, but I just feel like going for the attacking thread, especially with clean sheets just being not that common, whether it's amongst the elite teams or whether it's among the middling teams or the poor teams. I think only Arsenal and City have just a much higher, significantly higher chance of clean sheets compared to the other teams. So let's go to my original draft. Okay, so what's the thinking here? I've spoken to you guys. What are the potential things? I'm thinking about downgrading Nkuku to ESR and getting Minte in there as my 8th attacker, so it gives me squad depth. If not, I can just go get one 5.5 million defender and I get an Hall in addition. I do think that position is Hall's. Like even if Newcastle sign a centre back, I think a lot of Newcastle fans are convinced and have told me that they think Hall will get that position. He will make it his. So that's the thing at the moment. Outside of that, I'm fairly settled. Yeah, one draft. Yes, if Ange says something against Dom, that sort of puts me makes me really worried about Solanke. Then the options that I'm considering are I can go to Kai. I'll downgrade Nkuku and I'll spend the money on Kai. I really think Kai is a great option as an 8 million attacker in one of the best attacks in the country. A great first 4 fixtures. Kai was amazing last year. He had, in the second half of the season, only Palmer, Foden, and Watkins had more attacking returns, that is goals and assists, than Kai. So yeah, Kai, or I could just take Solanke down to a 4.5 million uh, uh, forward, and I can go with a 5-man midfield, which includes ESR and then Bruno Fernandes. Why Bruno Fernandes? Because I think he's going to be playing further up the field. I don't think he's going to drop deep as much. Casemiro looks sharp to start the season, and I think we're going to get Ugarte or a midfielder at least. And we've got better ball players in defense as well. So Bruno doesn't need to do a lot of the ball carrying. Hopefully, and he's the pick that I really want that I don't have outside of him. Him and Mo Salah are the two picks that I really want that I don't have at the moment. And it's my rules, Game Week 1 rules that I told myself. No predetermined moves, which is why I upgraded uh, Bruno. So what do you call Bruno to Saka because I was attached to the Bruno move. But no, Saka's just objectively a better pick. Adapt to new data, zoom out and think macro. The zoom out and think macro comes down to whether I want to have a deeper squad or whether I need to have Nkuku. I need to think about that. Longer term trends when selling big players. So if I'm selling Saka, etc., I need to think about longer term trends. They're really good. The main thing here is pay more attention to penalties, which is why the Solanke downgrade to Bruno for a 5-man midfield draft. But the one thing I don't like about the 5-man midfield draft is that and going Dom down to a 4.5 million attacker is because it's very likely. Let's go to the fixtures page. It's very likely that we're going to need Ollie Watkins game week 3 or 4. Look at that. Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home. All right, let's just do that. This is something I hadn't planned. If I want Watkins in game week 3 or 4, what are my routes? I probably go Jota down, who's a 7.5 million midfielder, to a 5.5 million midfielder. That gives me 2 million. That gives me Solanke money. Yeah, does that give me 7.5, 8.5, 9.5? Yeah, it gives me exact money for. I can go Jota down to a 5.5 million midfielder and go Solanke up. Can I do that if I have two 5.5 million midfielders? Yes, I can do that if I have 5.5 million midfielders. But the 5.5 million midfielders that I'm likely going to want are ESR and Minte. So, will there be a third emerging 5.5 million midfield option? I'm not confident. I'm not sure. That's probably going to be my route. Like I go Isak or Solanke, or I can just go Haaland if he doesn't perform. But then what if I want Mo Salah? What do I do when I want Mo Salah? I need to change Saka to Salah. That means I need 2.5 million. If I need 2.5 million, I can go Nkuku down to a 5.5 million bid, and I'm probably changing one of my defenders. That becomes difficult then. Maybe Gordon needs to be sold then. This sort of tells me that sort of constraining money is better if you want Watkins and Salah over Nkuku. Genuinely. Because what happens is think of a three-way move. Think of Saka, Gordon, Jota, Solanke to Salah, Watkins, fair enough. Probably, I think you're going to have to pick one of Watkins or Salah in that position, depending on who looks better, who looks hotter, etc. But yeah, let me know. I'm curious to know what you guys think about the 5.5 million versus the Nkuku debate. Outside of that, I think I'm covered. I've spoken to you. We've done a ton of preseason content, so we really appreciate if you could just give us some love and some likes and some subscribes because it helps us. It helps the algorithm. And yeah, Zoff and I will be seeing you tomorrow with our deadline stream. And good luck this season. And I'm really looking forward to just going on this journey with you guys. So let me know what you thought of the video in the comments below. And good luck, man. Take care, guys.